Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Poetry Thursday, a little BookTube tradition in which a few channels read you a poem on Thursday, maybe chat about it a bit. Most of the people who do Poetry Thursday just read you a poem. I like to do the chatting part, so I'll try to keep it to a minimum this time around. I am working my way through one anthology, this one, 20th Century American Poetry. I'm working my way through this. It's a very good anthology, very solid, also very heavy. Really good, heavy-duty paper stock designed, I think, to withstand generations of use in the classroom. It's a terrific volume along those lines. I don't know how many schools have adopted this thing. But it's taking us chronologically, more or less, through American poetry. And we are today up to Elinor Wylie. She's like a lot of the figures in this book, she's largely forgotten today. She was a fairly well-known public figure, writer figure in her own day. She was born Elinor Hoyt and was part of an extremely connected Washington, D.C. political family in the orbit of President Theodore Roosevelt. But she was a brittle, petulant, morosely self-absorbed pea-brain who took that all as cause for offense. It was pretty early on that it was obvious that she was trouble in the making, and I guess everybody assumed the sexist assumptions of the day, which is that, as they used to put it, marriage will settle her down. But it didn't. It didn't settle her down. Instead, she developed a wide-ranging, a la carte assortment of psychosomatic illnesses and symptoms that she could haul out and exacerbate at a moment's notice, and proceeded to make the lives of everyone she knew miserable. She went on and on for her relatively brief career. I think she died before she was 50. But she went on and on throughout her career, bemoaning the unfairness, unevenness, darkness, and just general awfulness of her love life. And there were a number of people on the sidelines of her life who wanted to say, well, maybe your love life would be a lot easier if you stopped stealing other people's husbands. There's no such thing as an innocent adulteress. If you know that someone is married and you have a relationship with him anyway, you're as guilty as he is. She traveled, she went overseas, she wrote the whole time. She's also a bit of a sister in arms because she was also a literary editor and a book reviewer. I don't know that Elinor Wylie's occasional writing has ever been collected. I've certainly never seen it in a lifetime of seeing books out in the used book market. I've never seen any collection like that. That would be great. I wish that such a thing existed. I think her poetry has been collected. And this anthology gives us a few of her poems. I thought I would read you two, because they're quite good. They're quite good. So which one do we want to do here? Yes, all right, let's do 1922. So we're still mucking around in the 20s, although the careers of some of these poets that we're getting to now, they're hitting their stride in the 1920s and the early 1930s, but they can sometimes stretch on. I don't think we've yet hit a poet in this anthology who is still alive. I think we're a long way off from that. But some of the poets that we've seen so far lived into the 1960s, at least. So Elinor Wylie did not. But this is her 1922 poem, From the Wall. And it's addressed to all her aggrieved sisters out there who just can't seem to keep their hot hands off other people's husbands. Woman, be steel against loving, enfold and defend you, turn from the innocent look and the arrogant tongue. You shall be coppery dross to the purses that spend you. Lock up your years like a necklace of emeralds strung. Lock up your heart like a jewel. Be cruel and clever. Woman, be strong against loving. Be iron, be stone. Never and never and never and never and never give for the tears of a lover a tear of your own. Cover the clutch of your greed with a velvety gloving. Take from the good if you can, from the vile if you must. Take from the proud and alone, from the cowardly loving. Hold out your hands for the pity, except of the lust. That is remarkably good. That is remarkably powerful. I myself think that the never and never and never line is cheap. I think that's what you do if you want to enhance the melodrama when you don't have anything to do rhythmically. You can't think of anything rhythmically to do. Although you will notice the tone of aggrieved self-pity running throughout the poem. Take from a woman, you, all my aggrieved sisters out there, take whatever you can from anybody. The strong, the weak, the vile, the proud, whatever you can. Take whatever you can from anybody. You will need it against the buffets of this world. You'll be buffeted a lot less if you don't commit adultery. So I might not have much reverence for the institution of marriage, but it does exist. And 100 years ago, it existed a hell of a lot stronger than it does today. If you bring on the troubles of your life, I don't think you're in a good position to lament those troubles. But I mean, it's still a lovely poem, and we'll do one other here. Let's see here. Let's do these are all from the 1920s. Let's do 1923, Prophecy. I shall lie hidden in a hut in the middle of an alder wood, with the back door blind and bolted shut, and the front door locked for good. I shall lie folded like a saint, lapped in a scented linen sheet, on a bedspread striped with bright blue paint, narrow and cold and neat. At midnight will be glassy black behind the panes, with wind about to set his mouth against a crack and blow the candle out. So the saint, in the very end, the very last stanza there, the saint is not alone. There's someone else in the poem. Very, very neat, very neatly done. And the further juxtaposition, Elinor Wylie, her whole life, she was constantly juxtaposing this image of a reserved and icy, self-contained thing. The first poem telling you, hold everything inside, don't give anything to any man. The second poem, a carved saint off away in the woods where no one's around. Her whole life she maintained this artistic dichotomy between this incredible reserve that you have to uphold against the depredations of the world. The world is constantly trying to pull you apart, and you have to be this reserved, carved statue of a thing, this uncaring thing. Otherwise, you'll just be ripped to pieces. That runs throughout a lot of. I haven't read all of her poetry. I'm sure that I haven't, and I haven't read a lot of her occasional prose. But that kind of, well, whining, that kind of whining runs throughout a lot of what she wrote. I just think it's beautifully done. That's all. So we're in the 1920s, and I believe that our next poet in this anthology, our next poet is John Crowe Ransom, and he lived for a long time. He lived well into the 20th century, but I think we're only getting poems of his from the 20s as well. But he'll be next time. We'll do Poetry Thursday next Thursday. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.